Hi everybody, it's January 25th. It's only like 40 degrees outside, so it's not a great sap day. It is starting to run though a little bit. I listened to my wife, and I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, I turned the vacuum pump on. Mostly the reason we did that was to keep the tap holes healthy. So I think I've talked about it in past videos that when you drill a hole into a tree, it's kind of like when you cut yourself, your body starts to heal, same with the tree. So when sap gets drawn back because of the tree's natural vacuum, it will actually bring back a little bit of bacteria. Because even though the actual plastic taps themselves are new each year, the tubing's 3 years old. Well, actually, all the tubing's 3 years old. So even though we flush it, there's always a little bit of bacteria. It could be just whatever gets in from when we let it sit and the air is in there. There's bacteria in the air, everything. So the tree hole, tap hole will start to try to heal itself. And so we turn the vacuum on, so when there are these short little bursts of runs, I guess you want to say, where the tree might warm up a little, we want to keep the sap from going back to the hole. So we turn the pump on. When I looked at the extended back, when we had that big run there a couple weeks ago, they said it was only going to be maybe 34 in this week, but it's warmed up, so took advantage of it. We ended up with I had 180 gallons in the tank today, so I figured I'd fire the machine up, boil it so it doesn't go bad. So that's all done. The evaporator is actually cooling down, pretty much all done. There's syrup in the canner that's filtering out. I figured I'd take this time to go show you guys the vacuum system a little better. When I built this, when I expanded back there 3 years ago, I planned on putting a vacuum on. And so I built it with that in mind, how it's all laid out and everything. But I didn't expect to do it here on my 3rd year. But I'll get more into that in a little bit. So, there's the shack. We'll go in here. I'll turn the pump off so you can hear me. So the pump's off. And as you can see, we're still pulling. Get you in there without the glare. Maybe like that. So hopefully you saw it. There's 25.5 inches of vacuum. So vacuum's measured in inches, not pounds. Because it's how many inches of a column of mercury will go up. So 25.5. So how this works, got the 1-inch line coming down from the woods. It goes, and this is where the vacuum and liquid separate. So the vacuum goes to the pump, which I show you guys the pump. There's the pump right there is the pump. And this is a releaser, it's called. So the gases, air go to the vacuum, that expels out. Liquid comes into here, and this is basically like a distribution box. It's where the lines come in, and each one of these cans, so there's 2 cans, depending on where, there's a little, that guy right there, that little S piece, that goes to the vacuum pump. So depending on which tank it's on, dictates which cylinder the sap goes in. So, as you can see, there is a black ball in there. So as that goes up, like that one over there is doing, that actually moves a lever, which then moves that S piece I showed you, and it moves the flow from each canister. That way, when one's filling, the other one's dumping. It just goes back and forth. So I'll trip it for you. Tripped it, and it dumps. So that dumps out, and this is so I went out, bought a brand new stock tank. See if I can get this in here. So, in here, sorry for the video quality, guys. So, anyway, I'll just talk. In the stock tank, there is a little sump pump and a switch. So when it gets to a level, the pump kicks on, then it shuts off. So I'll trip it on and I'll go show you the bulk tank. So this the pump is pumping from this stock tank over to the bulk tank. So trip it, kick the pump, kick the pump on. Stuck to get underneath everything. So then it dumps into the stock tank, the bulk tank through the pump there. So that's how we get the sap from the woods, from the trees, down to here. So I'll go turn that pump back on. Ugh. So the vacuum's running. Like I said, I turned it on either Wednesday or Thursday. It's been on ever since, besides just that little shutdown. And I think you guys can see it was running good. Yeah, there's a little trickle coming in. Like I said, today is not a great sap day. It's been rainy, slushy, just nasty. So like I said, the main reason we're running it is more or less for the tree health, keep our taps alive and healthy. So yeah, like I was back to saying, I never expected on my third year I'd have a vacuum pump. The main reason I did is, it was back in December. I went and talked to a local restaurant, Sugar Maple Cafe. The owner's name's Aaron. We had been in there, me and the wife, and talked to him, and he was not liking his supplier, so he gave me a call. I went and talked to him, and we made an agreement. So that first run we got, I bottled 98 of these little guys. So he bought these. He's going to sell these. So if you go in there at Sugar Maple Cafe, it's over by Mr. Tire and Owego, by KFC and all of them. He bought a case of them. So, and he's going to use up the current syrup he has from his supplier, and then I'm going to supply him some. He's only going to buy a gallon at a time. So I talked to him one day, and it was before the conference, and I was like, you know what? I need to do something to boost production, because I ran out June, July, August, somewhere in there. It was middle of summer, and it's not that I want a lot of syrup left around at the end come December, but it'd be nice to have a few quarts so that if people ask, I do have some. So I had to make a decision, and I had a couple of ways I could go. One way was to just tap more trees, which sounds easy enough because you just run more tubing, tap more trees. But then that's more tubing you have to take care of. You have to walk, maintain, wash, and it's more taps that you have to buy. So the other option is a vacuum pump, because what the vacuum pump does is we're not like sucking it like I shouldn't say. We are sucking like a straw. But if there's no sap there to take, like when it's frozen, we're not going to get anything. So basically all we're doing is when you tap a tree, there's 14 pounds of pressure coming out of the tree, and that's the atmosphere squeezing the tree. So basically what we're doing is taking that even away more, so that it's a negative area for the sap to come out. It's kind of like when, how can I explain it? I guess like if you're walking and you fall in a hole, there's no floor there. So basically we're just taking away resistance is all we're doing. I hope that makes sense. Maybe it does. I hope it does. So we're not hurting the tree, because we're only taking out what the tree will give. Like I said, if anything, we're keeping the tree healthier because we're not allowing dirty sap to go back to it. So that was the option I decided to take, because not that I'm against running more lines, but it's just that's more time you have to put towards maintaining them. And between work, fire life, I guess, the easiest way to put it is life, I felt I didn't have enough time to dedicate to do that. So this is the next easiest thing. I already had the building. That was the building that me and Kaylin used for our wedding for the generators. So I figured, well, I'll just bring that down here, throw the vacuum pump in there, put a tank there and a pump it over, and so far it's been working well. The one thing that's kind of a nuisance is the transfer pump, the little sump pump I told you guys about that goes from the stock tank to the bulk tank. Gotta make sure to take that in at night so it doesn't freeze. Hasn't been too bad. So yeah, that's what I decided. I went with that. There's people out there that say you can do the same thing with 3/16 tubing. So my little tubing, which maybe I can get you in there. So up there is my little demo of what's up in the woods. So the 1-inch line, that's what's coming, that's the green, that's what's coming down through the woods. That's the conductor line. Then there's off of that up in the woods, there's a 3/4 inch line. It's this light blue here. That's my main line. And that runs along perpendicular to the hill, so along the flat part of the slope. It's fairly level. And then this kind of purplish color line, that's 5/16. That goes from tree to tree. And then these little guys here, here, and here, they are the drops. So the lateral lines, mine are 5/16. They go from tree to tree to tree. And what some people are doing is they use, instead of 5/16, you use 3/16. So that's an eighth of an